हृदि निरन्तरं भासते स्वयं लिख्यते तथैव हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्मगोचरम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तभावशक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भाव भावयुत कुतो वदधिय दृष्टात्मनिष्टात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः विभाति सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः विभाति स्वयं. Namo Ramana. With Bhagavan's immense grace, we have been meditating on Sri Dakshinamurthy Stotram, the original in Sanskrit by Adi Shankara. And we have been relying on the Tamil translation by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. We have come to the third verse in the body of the work. But instead of reading the third verse alone, let us read the three verses together. The three verses are on the world, the next three verses on the Jiva, and the next following three verses are on the Ishvara, or the light that reveals. And last, the 10th is on the Falashruti, the phalam of the practice that one is going to take up through the meditation on this shlokam, which we found is not only a shlokam but also a treatise which goes deep into the Vedantic teachings. The three verses we have seen are Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyan Atmani Mayaya Bahirvodbhutam Yata Nidraya Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanam Evadvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. The second verse. Bijasyantarivankuro Jagadidam Prang Nirvikalpam Punaha Maya Kalpita Deshakala Kalana Vaichitri Chitri Kritam Maya Viva Vijrumbayat Tyapi Mahayogiva Yas Svechaya Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Today's verse Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam Asat Kalpartakam Bhasate Sakshat Tattvamasiti Veda Vachasa Yo Bodhayat Ashritan Yat Sakshat Karanat Bhavena Punar Avrittir Bhavam Bo Nidhav Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. The Tamil verse which we are going to rely on is Evanoli Unmai Inmai Iyai Porul Ilangu Nere Evan Adu Niyana Yendre Isaitu Unartuvan Serndore Evanai Ner Kanit Mindum Ibbava Kadal Villai Tavaruru Guruvam and the Dakshinamurti Potri Evanoli Unmai Inmai Iyai Porul Ilangu Nere Evan அது நீயானா என்று இசைத்து உணர்த்துவன் சேர்ந்தோரை எவனை நேர் காணின் மீண்டும் இப்பவ கடல் வீழ் வில்லை தவறொரு குருவாம் அந்த தட்சிணாமூர்த்தி போற்றி யஸ்யைவ ஸ்புரணம். The question that the Shishya raises now, having come through the first two verses, where in the first verse itself, the Acharya covers the whole teachings that the whole world is seen as a mere image on the mirror. That means completely without any reality or content of its own. And it is seen as in a dream, one projects the dream outside oneself and participates in the reality of the dream by identifying with one of the participants. In the same way, the Pashyan, the one who sees this and wakes up from the dream, Prabodha Samaye Swatmanam Evadvayam, that just like once we wake up from the dream, we understand all the contents, including Kala and Desha, and the personas, and the emotions, the pain, and the pleasures of the dream. Everything is me only. Is made of me, is me only. And therefore, that whole dream content is Swatmanam Evadvayam. Similarly, this whole creation's content is only Swatmanam Evadvayam. There is only the rope, there is no snake, is the Anubhava. And the one who is having that knowledge, the Dakshinamurti, to him is this Namaskaram, is the first verse. And we found that the Shishya is not perhaps able to take that and asks that you are saying, you are asking me to treat the world like a mere image on a mirror or like a dream I have myself projected. But that is not my reality. I still see a solid world where time and place and people are all moving about like this. How am I going to reconcile this? Then the Acharya comes down to the experience of the Shishya and says, Bijasyantarivam puro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha. Like inside the seed, the whole tree is contained. And the whole world, whole creation is contained inside the Ishvara when previously, and previously it was in that seed form, and subsequently it is projected as the world. Bijasyantarivam kuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha maya kalpita deshakala kalana vaichitra chitrikritam. With the mixture of the Maya Shakti, we saw that the Ishvara has these two tattvas inside. One is the Jnana and another is the Maya Shakti. We also refer to the Ashtakam, where Bhagavan says, Uladunil Aladila Adisaya Shakti, the Maya Shakti. So the key point was, without undergoing any change himself, the Ishvara projects the whole creation through the use of the instruments of Desha Kala Kalana, and the Kalana is taken to include all the works required to create the world, not only the material cause, not only the intelligent cause, but he is also the instrumental cause. And without undergoing any change himself, he is able to create the whole creation from the beginning to the pralaya, and beginning to pralaya, the whole creation is there. But actually, it is not a creation, it is only a Maya Kalpita. So the Bijasya is taken to give an explanation for the spread of the creation from the beginning to the end. But then actually, that whole Kala, from the beginning to end, that is Bijasyantarivam Puro Jagadidam Prang Nirvikalpam Punaha. The Prang and Punaha, the before and after, they are in the Kala Kalana, in the time. Therefore, the Kalam itself is a Maya Kalpitam. If you take it as the Stula, then you are wondering why I am not able to find this whole world an explanation for it. Now, instead of Stula, you understand that the Shakti, Maya Shakti, is inside the Ishvara, and the very time and space you consider as Stula, as so solid and billions of years spread across in cosmos, you bring it to the Sukshma. Then you understand how, with the mixture of the Deshakala Kalana, and we had referred to Ulladu Narpadu, where Bhagavan says that Desham and Kalam arise to one eye, which is the Ishvara's Hiranyagarbha eye. And we found that the option to get trapped in this Thulam is available for the Sukshma, but that knowledge is not available in the Stula. One cannot blame the eyes for not knowing the mind, but the mind has to take the responsibility to understand about the eyes and the cosmos it sees. So the Sukshma has to understand the Stula. That is when we understand the Stula is also only a projection from the Sukshma. Therefore, instead of Srishti, we understand how Acharya calls it as Kalpitam, as a mere projection. And from Kalpitam, we got back to the first verse and saw that it was Swatmana Mevadvayam, that even Kalpitam is not there. It is only the Atma Swarupa that is there. So after these two verses, the Sishya seems to ask, okay, I have understood somehow, but then there is this Sukshma, that is through the mind, you say the Desha Kala Kalana in the thoughts is mixed, and the Stula is also projected. But what is it that makes it appear real to me? That I am not able to understand. This, let us say that the Ishvara has projected this Sukshma Loka and this Stula Loka, but they all look alive and throbbing and full of Chaitanya to me. What is it that gives existence and Chaitana to this name and form? That, please tell me, O Acharya, seems to be the question to which the Acharya is answering. Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam Asat Kalpartakam Bhasate Sakshat Tatvamasiti Vedavachasa Yo Bodhayat Ashritan. Yes Sakshat Karana Bhavetna Punar Avrittir Bhavam Bo Nidav. Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namayidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. Yasyaiva Spuranam. Yasya Eva Spuranam. The Dakshinamurti Swami, the Ishvara, his Spurana is what permeates the subtle and the gross, that gives existence and consciousness to the subtle and the gross by permeating them, says the Acharya. Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam, shining always as in the traditional way. When we look at Spurana, they say that it shines as Sat, 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 like that. In Bhagavan's teachings, this Purana shines as I. Either way, it is Sada Atmakam. It is shining as the ever-present I. This Purana is shining as the ever-present I. Let us get a clarification from day by day with Bhagavan as to what exactly is this Spurana. It is only recalling for most of the devotees of Bhagavan, but then it would be appropriate to go through and see what is this Ishvara Spurana that permeates the Sukshma and the Stula. This is page number 5 of Day by Day, 24th March 1945 afternoon. Devaraj Mudaliar is writing, the author of this book. I was reading Vichara Sangraha, Self-Enquiry, the first prose work. I came across the statement that something in the heart, நான் என்று ஸ்புரித்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. நான் என்று ஸ்புரித்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. Something is shining or sounding in the heart. I have always had the doubt what exactly the word Spurana means. We must understand this answer is being given by Bhagavan in 1945. So I asked Bhagavan. He asks Bhagavan what exactly the Spurana means. Bhagavan said, he said, it means Vilanguvad or Vilakkuvad. Vilanguvad or Vilakkuvad. Vilanguvad means shines. Vilakkuvad means illuminates. Which shines or illuminates. So the Spurana has two kinds of chait, two kinds of chit in it. One is Vilanguvad, that is shining, and another is Vilakkuvad, to reveal. I asked, is it not a sound we hear? Bhagavan said, yes, we may say it is a sound we feel or become aware of. There, the difference between light and sound, they go away in the thought form as it comes down to feeling. The Yasyaiva Spuranam, the eye is feeling the eye. You can call it the light, which is self-luminous, or the sound that is throbbing, because there is no difference as light and sound in that. But then Bhagavan says you can call it either light or you can call it sound, depending on which is the path you have taken. If you have taken the observation path, you will call it light. If you take the listening to the source of the sound of the japa, you will call it as shabda. Yes, we may say it is a sound we feel or become aware of. He also referred to the dictionary and said the word means throbbing, springing on the memory, flashing across the mind. Thus, sound and light may be implied in the word Spurana. Everything has come from light and sound. The whole creation has come from light and sound, but Spurana is, you can call it either light or you can call it sound. There is no such distinction there. I asked Bhagavan, what is it that shines? Whether it is the ego or the self. The author is asking Bhagavan, What is it that shines within us? Is it the principle of ego, or is it the Atmaswarupa? Is it the self? He said it was neither the one nor the other. It is neither the ego that feels separate from its source, nor is it the self, but something in between the two. That it is something which is a combination of I, the self, and the I thought, the ego. The moment you say Spurana, the I, it has a combination of the knowledge and ignorance in it. We said within that Spurana, there is the Jnana as well as the Maya Shakti. Maya Shakti, if one takes it as self-forgetfulness, Jnana as the self-knowledge, both are there in the Spurana. That is what causes the Spandana or the Spurana. That is, he said that it was neither the ego, neither the one nor the other, but something in between the two. And that it is something which is a combination of I, the self, and the I thought, the ego. And that the self is without even this Purana. What is this self? When we continue self-enquiry, when we come to Spurana, Bhagavan says to Gambiram Seshaya, hold this Purana and keep quiet. Be still. This Purana will remove your I am the body idea. And like fire that is lit the camphor, like when the camphor completely is burnt, then the fire also dies, isn't it? Similarly, this Purana, which has ended your I am the body idea, will also become quiet. The experience is that in our journey to this Purana, initially we take this Purana as the Adhara for our sadhana. And the Ishvara Shakti is the Adhara. Without its Spurati nature, there is no inward turning that is possible. There is no outward turning also that's possible. All the outward search and then the final turning inward, they are based on the two movements. The Maya Shakti, let us say it is pushing to the outward, and the Jnana is pulling inward in this Purana. So with the Maya Shakti, we have gone as Jivas and searched here, there, everywhere, and we return not finding the real happiness. And by the Guru Kripa, Bhagavan comes and instructs, turn inward. Now, with what Adhara do we turn inward? It is because this Purana is already present. So the Ishvara is already pulling us. And because of Guru Kripa, we have got this instruction, turn inward. We come, and when we do self-enquiry, Bhagavan says, you will feel this Purana. When we are feeling this Purana, there this Purana is the Adhara for the sadhana. And Bhagavan says, hold this Purana and keep quiet. Don't ask anything. It will remove your I am the body idea. And then comes a point where one understands that one is feeling this Purana. That it is I who am feeling this Purana. At that time, this Purana starts quietening. That is the stage where the self realizes its reality. That it doesn't even need this Purana as support. Doesn't even need this Purana, means that even is very important. Because that Purana is the Ishvara Shakti. And that is the Yasyaiva Spuranam that is mentioned here. That is the Ishvara Shakti shining, as Bhagavan says in Ashtakam, that who is Ishvara, who is Arunachala? Bhagavan says he is the Irundolir. Irund Olirum. Irund is existence. Olirum is consciousness. He is the real consciousness, or consciousness that is ever present. That is the Adhara, the consciousness that is ever present is shining as I. That is the Adhara for all the Srishti. That is why that Spurana has permeated the Sukshma of the thoughts and the Stula of the sensory world. Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam. It is always shining as I. That is why it is real consciousness. It is இருந்தொளிர் இருந்தொளிர் உனைவிடுத்து அடுத்திடல் தெய்வம் இருட்டினை விளக்கெடு தடுத்திடல் ஏகான், says Bhagavan. That is, you are the existence consciousness keeping you inside and setting you aside to search for the God through these mortal eyes in the world is like searching for light, searching for darkness with light in hand. The light is already present inside us. With that light, we are searching for darkness outside, is how Bhagavan puts இருந்தொளிர் உனைவிடு தடுத்திடல் தெய்வம் இருட்டினை விளக்கெடு தடுத்திடலேகான் இருந்தொளிர் உனை அறிவுறுத்திடற்கென்றே இருந்தனை மதந்தொரு விதவித உருவாய். That means in all the religions, in whatever name Ishvara is called, he is actually the existence consciousness, allowing himself to be called by that name in that madam. இருந்தொளிர் உனை அறிவுறுத்திடற்கென்றே, to reveal yourself only. Because we saw that this Purana is not merely shining, knowing itself, it is also capable of revealing itself. These are the two chits we said. Hold on to that, because we are going to look at it in the world and in the thoughts. That is, this Purana has the two natures of chit. One is to shine in self-knowledge, and another is to reveal itself, to capable of revealing itself and revealing the objects that are there. And yasyaiva spuranam sadatmakam. How is the spurana there? In the traditional Vedanta, they call it as, it is shining as sat, 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 existence, 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 existence. Bhagavan calls it that this Purana shines as I. And who am I? Where does it take us? The enquiry who am I takes us to Ishvara as this Purana. Recalling in the discussion Bijasyantarivan Kuro, we had seen that Ishvara has the Virat Swarupa in the sensory world, where he integrates all the sensory experiences as one Purana, which is called as Virat. One I, which is shining as Virat, but is the Adhara for all the sensory experiences. And in the Sukshma, which is the Adhara for the Stula also, in the Sukshma, he is shining as the Hiranyagarbha eye. And from which we saw, from the connection with Ulladanarpadu, that the whole of the fate and free will, time and space, all arise, first person, second person, third person, all arise from the Hiranyagarbha eye. And on enquiry, where does it take us? It takes us to the Purana, the I of Ishvara, as he is in deep sleep, without the support of the sensory world or the mental concepts, independently shining as I. That is the Purana which we are taking support of, which has permeated the Stula and Sukshma. Another way to look at this Purana and how it is permeating is to recall the story of Janaka. Quick recall of the story of Janaka Maharaja, who has that dream of being a very poor person, and he wakes up into all his glory on the royal bed, and Ashtavakra comes and Janaka asks him, is that real or is this real? And Ashtavakra says, at that time, at the time of dream, when you were a beggar, did you have knowledge of this royal surroundings that you have now? And Janaka says no. And now, do you have the reality of that poverty? He says no. So he says, oh, then Janaka gets the flash, then are both false? Is the waking state also false? All the Nama Rupa in the waking state also false. All the Nama Rupa in the dream are also false. Then is everything false? Is everything void? Then Ashtavakra might have pointed out at that point, see, you have come to deep sleep, that the whole Nama Rupa you have understood to be non-existent, to be unreal. But then this state, it negates the waking and the dream. But in all the three states which are cyclical, what is the one reality that is present? it is you. So inquire into the truth of you. You are the Satyam, is what he points out. Therefore, what is that Satyam which permeates all the three states? It is not the waking eye, it is not the dream eye, nor the deep sleep eye. It is the Spurana which permeates all the three states. That is what is mentioned in this verse. Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam. It is shining as I, Asat Kalpartakam Basate. The whole area of Nama and Rupa is called as Asat Kalpartakam. In reality, they are not there, but they are shining as though they are there because this Purana has permeated them. This Purana is present within them. Now we are going to use the concept of revelatory chit and the concept of knowing chit to go to Spurana. That is, we understand that the existence consciousness has, this is the question asked by the student, that I have understood that you are saying that the whole creation was there as the seed and then it manifested after Pralaya, in Srishti, it manifested as Nama and Rupa. And you are saying, instead of seeing it as Tula, see it as Sukshma, where the Maya Shakti is projecting all this, which Deshakala Kalana. You are saying that these two are there. The Sukshma, which projects the Stula, are there. But what is it that makes this Sukshma Nama Rupa and Stula Nama Rupa appear real? And the Acharya answers, it is the Yasyaiva Spuranam. The Spurana, which can be independent of the three states, but in the waking state and in the dream state, it has permeated these two. And because of that permeation, these Nama and Rupa, which are actually Asat, they really don't exist. And that is what one will experience in the Atma Vichara. That is what we saw earlier also, that till Atma Vicharam starts, our model of self-correction would have been, we won't even call it self-correction. We will probably be calling it as change in the objective world. But let us look at how we have corrected ourselves in the objective world. From a self perspective, the model would be in the present moment. We will look at our past, we will introspect and find that the self-experience, the objects that are experienced are not satisfactory. We could have done better. And we will plan for a future where our self is a better self. That is, we have had self of the past, which is reviewed by the self of the present, and by saying tomorrow that should be recovered, tomorrow I should not speak to this person like this, we are moving to a self of the future. But Bhagavan changes that in self-enquiry by saying that are there three selves like this? And that the self of the now has to be, the truth of that has to be found out by turning the attention that is going towards the object, turn it and hold the eye in the present moment without slipping into past or future. Till when? Till the self is realized as this Puranam, as the I. And it is this I which is now seen to be permeating this Sukshma and this Stula. Now, what is this revelatory chit and what is this knowing chit? We had seen that a little bit in our last discussion, but then that is something that is very clear in the Dakshinamurthy Stotram, that the Asat Kalpartakam, the world of Nama and Rupa, they have this revelatory chit because of the Satchit being present inside. The Spuranam is present in some form inside the Nama and Rupa in the Stula. That is why the chair is seeable. It is seeable, but it is seen by the eye which is having the knowing chit. Now, it will become clearer when we see our own relationship now. That when I am speaking and you are listening, then that speech is the revelatory chit. That is, I am using consciousness to go through the larynx, use the sound waves, so that I am revealing my presence. But I know that the knowing chit in the listener is far more sensitive than my revelatory chit. So the intelligence would be, as Bhagavan would say, the form in front of you is not real. Whatever I speak would be to appeal to your knowing chit, not take any kind of importance to the revelatory chit. What I speak is revelatory chit. What you listen is the knowing chit. This is in the sensory world. So we find that to go to the Sat chit, we have to hold the knowing chit and treat the revelatory chit as Jadam. That is, the chair reveals itself, the world reveals itself. Somebody speaking in the world is still revelatory chit, and the hearing and the seeing entity is the knowing chit. So one has to hold the seeing and knowing. This is in the gross. When we hold that and we observe our breath, we saw in the last verse, when we observe our breath, we go to the one breather, or we are going to the Virat Swarupa in the Virat eye of the waking state. Where does that take us? It takes us to the Sukshma. The Sukshma also, that is in the thought area, there is other thoughts and there is the I thought. The other thoughts are revelatory chit. They are also permeated by this Purana. They are revelatory chit, and the I thought is the knowing chit. And Bhagavan's teaching and the teaching of Acharya in Drikdrishya Vivekam is that the revelatory chit should be treated as Jada, and the knowing chit should try to know its source. That is how Atma Vicharam makes us turn away from the revelatory chit present in other thoughts and hold its own existence and take it to the source where we meet the Spurana. So this is how the Asat Kalparthakam comes about. That is, the Spurana, in some way, it is present. The Satchit is present in even the grossest name and form that is present in the world. Now, some of the commentators would say only Sat is present in the objects of the world, but we can see that they have the ability to reveal their presence. That is, there is the Nama and Rupa. So we can understand that this Puranam of Arunachala is present in all. Sat-Chit, they are not two different things. So that Sat-Chit is present and permeating the whole creation. Therefore, there is this revelatory chit even in the inert objects. That is where Bhagavan would say, there would be one incident where one lady would sarcastically ask, what are you saying that those monkeys on the tree, they are of the same consciousness as us? Bhagavan would say, why the monkeys? The very trees are the same as us. Why the trees? The concrete slabs on which you are sitting, they are full of consciousness, you will say. This is perhaps something we will not find in much of the traditional scriptural teachings, because all the speakers, they have one rule. Whenever we touch the scriptures, there is one rule that all of us have to observe. The observation is that we should never give any stuff from out of our own. We should stick to what is present in the scriptures. There cannot be any just like that telling from your own experience which does not relate to the scripture. But then Bhagavan telling something about the scriptures we can take. And what does Bhagavan say in that talk? Bhagavan says that the stone slab on which you are sitting is full of consciousness. He does not say full of sat alone. So we can take in Bhagavan's teachings that the stones and the most sthula of atomic forms, they have the Sat-Chit present in the revelatory Chit form. But they get their existence only in combination with the knowing Chit present in the eye. They don't have existence in the absence of a knowing Chit. This is what we have to understand. They don't have Sat of themselves. The Sthula Loka doesn't have existence of its own, doesn't have Chetana or Chaitanya of its own. They require a knowing Chit for their existence and for their revelatory consciousness to be known. That is why it is asat kalpartham. That is as good as non-existent. They are, what Acharya says, they are as good as non-existent. And how Bhagavan puts it, let us see. He says, Evan Oli Unmai. Evan Unmai Oli. The Unmai Oli means Satchit. Evan Oli Unmai. Inmai Iai Porul Ilangu Nere. The that which is non-existent, those Nama and Rupa, they are made to appear as though they are existent. So the Kalparthakam, the like non-existent, as good as non-existent is the Kalparthakam, and they are made to look, they are made to appear as though they are there, as though they are real, because this Puranam is permeating. So this is the first sentence. The first sentence is about how this Purana makes that which is Asat, the Nama and Rupa. They are Asat actually. They are really not there. They don't have existence or consciousness of their own. But because this Purana is permeating them, they appear as though they are real. Is the first sentence. And that gives you the completion of how the world is not a real creation. It is a mere appearance. So the Acharya has tried in the first verse to tell directly, then explain through the example of the seed and the Maya Kalpita. The Maya Kalpita, why it was used? That the Ishvara doesn't go through any change. Does the Ishvara, like the clay, does he undergo any transformation in becoming the pot? No, there is no transformation. Mahayogiva Swechaya. Just by thinking, he has created the whole world. Let the world be there. It has been there. Then not even that. that is an explanation given. Then there is not even that sankalpa. There is only swatmana mevadvayam. So the only for the appearance is given as though it is there, and it has to be finished in swatmana mevadvayam. How does this take place? How? See, we see that we were discussing that the Dakshinamurthy Swami probably has these two functions, that like Mayavi, he has the veiling through Maya Shakti, and through Mahayogi, Swechaya, he is releasing us, we were discussing. But then Bhagavan says, these two are also not works. Of course, the creation, maintenance, destruction, they are all kalpitam. The veiling and liberation we were having as before us, as Maya we were veiling and as Mahayogi liberation. But even that is not really there. There is no bondage nor liberation. Bhagavan gives the clarification in who am I? The question is this not all a creation of Ishvara? And Bhagavan gives the example of sun. Just as in the presence of sun, just as in the presence of sun, this whole creation goes about its work, and without any sankalpa, all the works are done. And these works and their effects do not affect the sun. In the same way, this Purana of the Ishvara is untouched by the happenings in the Nama and Rupa. Ishvara is merely shining like the sun. And like in the sun, Sannidhi, the whole creation happens. Actually, it is in the Ishvara's Purana Sannidhi that even the sun or all the other worlds, they exist, they perform everything, and they attain laya. And not only that, even the veiling and the liberation are taking place in the mere Sannidhi. When we were discussing in the last verse, we were thinking of the liberation that Bhagavan gives, or the liberation great ones gives. we have been presented with, we know about Bhagavan giving liberation to Prani, and how the Bhagavan narrates in the talks as to what happened when he was keeping his hand on the head and the heart of Amma. We have some incidents like Mahapariva giving mukti to a boy across 7 janmas, he says. He had still 7 more janmas to take, and that had been crossed by the mukti giving guru. All this, is it really there? Is it really bondage and liberation? Bhagavan says no. From the point of view of Swatmana Devadvayam and from the point of view of Spurana, the Ishvara is merely shining. Is merely shining as I. And even the great gurus who give liberation, they are all performing under that Spurana Sannidhi only. That's why Bhagavan would say, in Parani Swami's case, I took away the arms I took away the hands when the tinkling sound which indicates the jiva has subsided in the self came, but then he had not subsided completely. So his spirit came out through the eyes, Bhagavan would say. That indicating that the Guru who gives liberation like that is also in the Ishvara Sannidhi. All personas perform even the greatest tasks of mukti in that Spurana Sannidhi only. Because what is all this Namarupa? They are Asat Kalparthakam. They are really not there. The bondage is really not there. Is the import of Swatmana Mevadvaya. So that much is contained in the first verse. The first line of this verse. Evan only unmai inmai. Evan unmai inmai iyai porul ilanganer. All the Nama and Rupa are appearing to be real because this Purana is permeating in them. Really, they are not there. This Purana is merely shining. Everything is happening. The next two lines we can see that evanadu niyana என்று இசை துணர்த்துவன் சேர்ந்தோரை. The Dakshinamurthy Swami, who is that Spurana, who is identified with that Spurana, when somebody goes as, you are my Ashraya, oh Bhagavan, you are the only support for me, save me, please teach me, to them, there is nothing else taught other than teaching them Tattvamasi, that you are that Spurana, that which was mentioned to be Yasya was Spuranam. His own Spurana, which is shining as I. Whenever a disciple goes and truly surrenders, the teaching from the Guru, who is Dakshinamurthy Swarupam, Bhagavan is Dakshinamurthy Swarupam, the teaching will be always Tattvamasi, that Spurana is your real nature. And Bhagavan gives us the blessing of the direct path, that when you inquire, who am I, not following the Stula Namarupa or Sukshma Namarupa, you will meet the Asaiva Spuranam. You will meet this Puranam of Dakshinamurthy Swami, who is no different from Ramana Maharishi. This Purana you will directly meet. And initially you will take this Purana as support to let go of thoughts, identify with this Purana, and Bhagavan goes to the extent of saying, even this Purana will keep quiet when you have the Sayujya with the self. The self is beyond even this Purana, he says. This Purana is a combination of the ego principle and the self. It is between the two. It is Spurati, but the self is beyond even the Spurati nature, is what Bhagavan says. Evanadu niyanai. Such a one, Bhagavan, who is Dakshinamurthy Swarupam, he will have only one teaching. He may take us through the Bhakti Marga and the Vichara Marga, but there is only one endpoint for all devotees of Bhagavan. One need not worry where Bhagavan has touched our life. In whichever point we have been touched by Bhagavan, we are going to be ending with this teaching only, that Tattvamasi, you are that Spurana. You are the one shining, independent of anything else. You don't need the support of the Namarupa Jagat or the Sukshma of the thoughts. You are the one who is shining. Where else can who am I take us? You tell me. Because what is who am I doing? Whenever an object appears, Bhagavan says, there are three things. You are there. You are sending the attention towards the object. And in who am I? Withdraw the attention from the object and fix it on yourself. This is the only sadhana that you are asked to do. Where is it going to end? The attention which has been going out towards the object is withdrawn and fixed on the subject. This is going to end only in this Purana, only in the I. Wherever you are touched by Bhagavan, in the smallest or in the greatest of details, Tattvamasi is where we are going to come, not merely as Upadesha Krama, but as the revelation by Ramana Maharishi. Ramana Maharshi will stand as the Ishvara who is supporting us, and as the Atma Swarupa that is there already. And by pushing us inside and by pulling us from within, he will make us identify with this Purana, and he will take us to the self which is beyond. That is the second line. Evan adu niyana என்று இசைத்து உணர்த்துவன். He merely will not tell, he will make you experience. உணர்த்துவன் சேர்ந்தோரை. There is one clause that is put, that you should have deep interest in going and asking him. That one thing is, Bhagavan says, don't call anybody to the ashram, but don't send away anybody from the ashram. யாரையும் வான்னு சொல்லாத, போன்னு சொல்லாத. Don't say come and put mic and invite people over, but don't send away anybody who has come also. So whoever goes to Bhagavan. So finally, as devotees, we understand that pull is also given by Bhagavan. But so far as we have doership, we should have this great desire to not miss this opportunity to give our all and surrender to Bhagavan and pray to him with all our heart. Seek self-knowledge with all our heart. There is no way we will miss it. He said, whoever is joining, whoever is seeking with him, Ashritan is the Sanskrit word used. Whoever is taking the ashraya of the Guru, here Bhagavan is going to give us Tattvamasi Vedaha, the Veda Vachasa. That is where we have to understand none of the commentators or speakers can just tell whatever they want. They have to abide by the teachings of the scriptures or the teachings of the great ones like Bhagavan. We cannot just like that tell something because these are all Veda Vachasa. These have come from the Vedas, and the respect has to be given to what we speak about in these topics is what is enforced in saying that even Dakshinamurthy Swami, when he is giving you Upadesham, he is giving as mentioned in the scriptures, Veda Vachasa, evan இசைத்துணர்த்துவன் சேர்ந்தோரை எவனை நேர் காணின் மீண்டும் இப்பவ கடல் வீழ்வில்லை. When one identifies oneself with this Purana and the self, the phalam is not you are going to get something. The phalam is that you are not going to get something. What is it that you are not going to get? You are not going to get any more rebirth into this Bhavam Bodhitu, the ocean of the misery of the ocean of birth and death. One is not going to re-enter again. So it is not a phala you are going to get. It is a phala you are not going to get, because the consciousness doesn't need anything. It doesn't need to get anything. It has to be free of ignorance, which pushes it into the bhavambho, the ocean of birth and death. And that is what one is freed of when one is in direct touch with this Purana. When one directly experiences evanai ner kanin, one should not merely have intellectual knowledge and live there. We should have the direct experience. Sakshat, it is not sensory perception, it is not imagination or concoction through logic. One should identify with this Purana oneself. One should be able to feel the throb, the I. Evanai ner kanin, மீண்டும் இப்பவ கடல் வீழ்வில்லை. You are definitely not going to get one thing, because you as the self don't need anything. What you need is only rejection of the false, rejection of ignorance, which prevents us from birth and rebirth. Tavaruru Guruvam and the Dakshinamurthy Potri. That is the pranams to the Dakshinamurthy Swami, is how the verse ends. So this verse completes the discussion on the creation, the world, that the creation is nothing but the self, this Purana. And when we are not able to identify with that, surrender to Dakshinamurthy Swami, surrender to Bhagavan, and surrenderedly practice Atma Vicharam, which has been taught by Bhagavan. And without any fail, without any chance of missing, one will be brought to this knowledge, is the content and purport of these three verses. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Let us sit in self-enquiry till 8 o'clock. We have about 3 or 4 minutes. Maybe you can give 1 more minute for that. Ujjwalji, you can set for 8:01.
Yes, Sakal, I'll do that.
Thank you. We'll sit in self-enquiry till 8:01 so that then we can listen to Akka. Namo Ramana.
that it is all on account of the supreme force, the Ishvara. In Ulladu Narpadu, Bhagavan says, Chittiramum, Parpanum, Serpadamum, Aroliyum, Attanayum, Tanam, Avan. He says, because we see, or if we see a world, then we have to say there is a creator to the world. There is a creator who is responsible for this entire creation. However, Chittiramum, Parpanum, Serpadamum, Aroliyum, Attanayum, Tanam, Avan. So everything, there is no demarcation, there is no distinction, there is no separation. If this distinction is not there, if it is not real, why does it appear to be real to me? And the answer is because of the permeating spurana, which is Tattvamasi, which is that self itself, which is shining as I. In we find Yajnavalkya telling his wife Maitreyi, Maitreyi, he tells her, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. He says, Oh Maitreyi, you think something is dear to you, that because that object is not dear to you because of its existence. It is because of the self that the object is dear. So it is because of the permeation of the self that the object is revealed. The beautiful conversation also between Mercedes de Acosta and Bhagavan, where Bhagavan says that everything is permeated by that consciousness. Of course, the example Bhagavan gives is of the sun. He gives the example of the sun because we do not see any change in the sun. So it's very explicit to us that without